Can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
ESBR Boxing, in partnership with sharpbetting.co.uk, your home of betting tips and analysis for a variety of sports. But the main one we're here to talk about is, of course, boxing. Paul, thank you very much for joining me. We are the preview show, and we are here previewing a cruiserweight fight taking place at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium between Viddal O'Reilly and Chev Clarke. Now, obviously, both of these guys are well known to British boxing fans, so I don't need too much of an introduction. But Paul, what I want to ask you really is, Viddal O'Reilly 12-0 coming to this fight here. You've got Chev Clarke. Obviously, he's 10-1, 7 KOs as well. What are your thoughts on this fight, Paul? First and foremost, if you'd like to give us a prediction, that'd be fantastic as well. And then from there, Paul, I will unpick it with you, and we'll take us through the rest of the fight. Thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, pleasure to be joined by you as always, mate. This is another intriguing fight, I think. A lot of these fights on the Eubank Junior Ben undercard do have intrigue, somewhat more so maybe than the main event. They're proper the real boxing fans. Um, it's a good fight. I don't really this fight for me. I really don't know. I've changed my mind on this a good few times already. Like part of me is like, yeah, Chev Clarke didn't look great last time out, first defeat of his pro career. But then again, like, yeah, there was a nightmare start for him, and he did come back into it, and that was for a European title, which is far higher than Vidal Riley's fought yet. Vidal Riley's biggest win was against Lawal. That's a Lawal who's a very limited British level fighter. We saw Isaac Chamberlain comprehensively outbox Lawal as well. So you're kind of thinking that's his best win, but you can only beat who's in front of him. He's young still, Vidal Riley. Looks like he does have genuine boxing ability. Jeff Clark, though, an Olympian and all as well. I really don't know, mate. Without sitting on the fence, I'm really struggling to pick this one. I think if I had, well, I'm going to have to pick, aren't I? I'm going to just give it to Chev Clarke. I think he will perhaps bounce back from that defeat and get the job done here. Could I see him stopping Vidal Riley? Probably not. But then again, we don't know what Vidal Riley's chin's like. I haven't seen him really take any shots, have we? So yeah, Chev Clarke. I'll go with Chev Clarke on points, mate. Close fight, could be a split, a majority, or sometimes we like to call the draw. Could it even be a draw? Who knows, mate? I am literally just giving the edge to Chev Clarke here. I think that he'll bounce back. He has that more experience from the Olympics and obviously that European title loss. If he has written the wrongs from that fight, he'll have learned a lot from it, and I think he maybe just has enough here. So yeah, I'm backing Chev Clarke to get the job done here on points over Vidal Riley, mate. What about you?
Yeah, I think you raised some very, very good points there. I think for me, it's actually really tough. I'm sort of in the same boat as you. It's a hard one to call for me. I was instinctively thinking Vidal Riley on points, to be honest with you, but I'm not gonna to sit here and critique or in any way sort of criticize your Chev Clarke on points. I think it'd be a close fight. I can see it going either way. I think for me, like you say, the point about Riley not necessarily being tested is necessarily being tested, and obviously Chev Clarke with 7 KOs obviously carries power. I think I've been kind of. I mean, it sounds a horrible thing to say, but it's almost like I've not been too impressed by either of these these two fighters. That's what kind of makes it quite intriguing. I don't see any one of them being like significantly better than the other. But I think for me, I've just got a suspicion that Riley's got maybe sort of gear he can find towards a points victory. That's the only reason why I'm going for it. But equally, if Chev Clarke wins, I wouldn't be surprised either. But let's pick up with Vidal Riley here and ask the question really: how far you think Vidal Riley can go? In your mind, obviously, like I said, undefeated fighter so far. Only had 12 fights, 7 KOs. And I suppose the standout one for me was probably the Michael Lawal victory. That was quite a good one. That he had when he sort of pick up a bit of a that's obviously British English cruiserweight fight there. But how far do you reckon he goes? Do you reckon he goes European? Do you reckon he goes world title fringes? Do you reckon there's a possible chance to fight for a world title at some stage? 27 years old now. How far do you reckon he can go?
Yeah, he's a big name, Vidal Riley, isn't he? From that whole kind of like
Yeah.
YouTube boxing thing and training KSI at the very start and all that. So he does have a bit of a profile. So it's one of them where he could probably get, be selected as a voluntary for a world title if he gets himself in a good position because big name, sells tickets. Yeah, it kind of appeals on the eye. I don't think he wins a world title. That's what I'll start by saying. I think he could win it, pick up the European. I guess Chev Clarke just fell short of picking up the European. I think that against a relatively unknown fighter. But I think on his day, Chev Clarke can win it as well. So I think Vidal Riley could win a cruiserweight European title. Yes, I do. But world honors, I'll say I could see him fighting for one. Again, it's hard to say. He's quite young, isn't he? So, like, who's to say that he
Mm.
won't fight for one in 5 years' time or whatever it is when he's only still only in his early 30s? I'll say he'll fight for one, but for me now, I can't sit here and say that Vidal Riley becomes world champion, mate. What about you?
Yeah, I can't say it. I can't say it, Paul. I think European possibly. I do think that. I think possibly get to sort of fringes, but I mean, I know that the cruiser division is obviously quite a weak division comparatively as well. So you could maybe ascend kind of to opportunity, maybe more presentable up there, especially if you've got, like you say, a bit of a profile. But do I think he'd beat any of the sort of established cruiserweight names? No, I don't think that for a second. So yeah, but like you say, maybe if he waits, if he improves and he waits sort of 6 years or something, it's only still quite young, but especially by those sort of bigger divisions, you see people pushing at you mid 30s, mid late 30s, are still sort of going. Maybe you can sort of get in with a shot there, but I don't see him winning world title. Absolutely not, Paul. I totally agree with you there. Just a note on kind of Chev Clarke, obviously. Like you said, bouncing back obviously from defeat, obviously tried up at European. But do you think he's found his sort of limit really at European level? Do you think he maybe get over that hurdle, win a European belt, but stay there? Is that where you see him, or do you see maybe if he's learned from those mistakes, do you see him being even being able to push beyond that and compete for world, or is he kind of leveled now by that last loss?
Well, I think with Chev Clarke, you kind of have to go a bit quicker, don't you? Because he's 34. I mean, very, very young in the pro game, so to speak, because he only turned pro after the Olympics, didn't he? And he has fought some good names. Like he stop David Jameson, Tommy McCarthy, and El Azaro. Like they're all, well, maybe on their day were really good fighters as well. I think he could win a European. Yeah, I think. I don't know. It was a nightmare start for him, that last one, wasn't it? Against what's the guy's name? Mosquea. He was knocked down. Was it in round one, round two? So like the worst possible start you can have in a European title fight. Still only lost that by a split decision. So he did come back into that fight, win rounds. It's one of them where, because he had such a nightmare start, if there was another 1 or 2 rounds, would he have won it? Perhaps. So I think Chef Clark can win a European title. Yeah, I think same as Vidal Riley, mate. What we said, I think he could fight for a world title, but I think there's kind of not the clock's ticking. That's not the right thing to say, but kind of needs to be a bit more urgency with Chef Clark because of the age of him when he turned pro. But yeah, he's a nightmare style. He's not a massive cruiserweight. He's only 5'11" and a half. But southpaw stance can cause people a lot of problems. I'll say he won't become world champion, but I think he will become European champion if indeed he wants to go down that route again. But I could also see him fight for a world title. Yeah, but again, do I think he'll win it? Probably not, because as I said, he'll need to fight for one in the next couple of years before he's 36, 37. Whilst we'll still have someone like Jai Opataya, I would back Zurdo Ramirez to beat him as well. Those kind of guys. So I think it's going to be tough for him to win a world title, particularly in the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think it's a weird one with him though, in the sense that those sort of run early on. We got Jameson, Vassal, Duke was a good win. Tommy McCarthy, your man, that's a good win there as well. And now you sort of see him. You think, we could hit a certain level, but it does seem to have been checked, obviously, the sort of European strata. So for me, I agree with you. I think he could go over the line, could win a European belt, definitely. Don't see him. I mean, yeah, there's